Welcome to Fun and Fundraising, everybody, the podcast where we talk with people behind top nonprofit fundraising galas and how they use those funds to positively transform their communities. I am your host, Rob Giardinelli, and today I am delighted to have two guests to talk about really one of the best events in Texas, and that is Kristina Wrenn and Sarah Jo Hardin, and they are here to talk about the Majestic Mad Hatter's 35th Annual Tea Party. And it benefits the Women's Council of the Dallas Arboretum. Kristina, Sarah Jo, welcome, and I am thrilled to have you both here today.
Oh, thank you.
We're thrilled to be with you.
Absolutely. So, what I want to do is talk about the mission of the Women's Council of the Dallas Arboretum and the Dallas Arboretum in general. Sarah Jo, why don't you start us off and tell us a little bit more about the organization and what you all do to benefit the Dallas community?
Well, currently, a Women's Council has 575 members. This is our 40th year, and we are a wonderful group of women who are passionate and dedicated to a women's garden, which is celebrating its 25th year. And that is the garden within the Dallas Arboretum that we created. And our main mission is to grow and maintain and support a women's garden. And this organization has done many fundraisers over the years. This is the 35th year of Mad Hatters, and we do a writer's garden in the fall. And we try to put those funds into our endowment trust so that we can completely support a women's garden. And we have women who are passionate about it. It is the most beautiful part of the Dallas Arboretum, and millions of people have visited our garden. It is the Dallas Arboretum is the #1 destination to visit in Dallas and our most popular park in Dallas. And right now, Dallas Blooms is going on, and a women's garden is just glorious. So the funds raised from Mad Hatters go to support our complete, maintenance of that garden and any capital improvements that we make to the garden. So that's why we're all excited to go to Mad Hatters and raise money for this cause that, we aren't curing cancer, but we are helping people who need joy in their lives, and it's comforting. And so people who are experiencing bad health issues, emotional issues, anything that is going wrong in their life, they can come and relax and experience the joy and beauty of nature and its healing. And so I think bringing joy to people's life is a wonderful, wonderful reason to raise money. I just think that beauty of that garden is special and unique. And that's why Mad Hatters is fun, because we have a good time, but yet we're raising money for something important.
Well, it's interesting. You brought up several really interesting points. Is one, happy anniversary ×3. So we've got
Yes.
we've got 40 years of the Dallas of just the organization itself, the Women's Council, 35 years of Mad Hatters, and 25 years of the Women's Garden. So that's an awful lot to celebrate all at once. So, and what's interesting, Sarah Jo, is your passion really came through with the organization. Tell us how you became involved with this organization initially, and what's kept you involved, on an ongoing basis.
Many, many years ago, a very good friend of mine's mother, her name was Beth Averett, got me involved because at that time period, I was director of the Fifth Avenue Club at Saks Fifth Avenue, and we did one of the very first style shows with Mad Hatters. And so I became, very involved from that point on. And actually, my first date, my blind date with my husband, was at the Arboretum at an event. So
really,
yes. And so it's special to me. And over the years, when I was raising my children, we would go to a lot of the fundraising events that the Women's Council was doing. At that time, they used to have a holiday children's party, and went to many of the events that included spouses. And, I just had over the years so many good memories of fundraising events at the Arboretum. But it's a special place because that's my first date with my husband. So
Wow. So it literally, the Dallas Arboretum literally has changed your life in so many
yes,
positive ways.
literally.
Not just the fundraising, but also,
Yes.
you get to be grateful literally every second of every day with your
Yes,
husband. That's
yes,
wonderful.
I do. But I love the Women's Council and being involved with it for over 3 decades. I mean, for a very long time. I have seen it go through changes and growth, and we've added so many new members and added more and more to our garden, phase 1, phase 2. And it's just amazing to see what today's a woman's garden looks like. It is just so beautiful. And we just refurbished the poetry garden within a woman's garden, and our Vitex LE garden, and our beautiful pool, our reflecting pool, and our circle of honor and the wind harp. There's just a lot of special features in a women's garden that, in places where people do proposals. I mean, a lot of it is special because there's so many memories created there. Lots of photography is done there, wedding photos. I mean, it's really a special place.
It really sounds like it. So Kristina, tell us a little bit about how you got involved with the organization. Before we were on, Sarah Jo was talking about how you and the other co-chair, Ann Stodgill, work really well and complement each other really well. Tell me a little bit about how you got involved with this organization and what it means to you.
Well, I am a new member this year and joined because we had been chosen to chair, and hope to remain a member because what I think is so nice about the organization is there's such wonderful camaraderie within the group, and everyone really does want to work together and work towards supporting a woman's garden. And they also have such wonderful events throughout the year where you can get together, where you can go and volunteer and plant at the Arboretum, where you can go to, a fall and a spring luncheon to be around the other people in the organization and to have a program. So, and they also are very good about birthdays and celebrating each one of the members, and making sure that there's always time for new members to get together and new members to then be sort of paired up with other people. And so I think that's an important part of it. And I'm very happy that I was asked to chair so that I can know about the Women's Council. And it became very important to me, having been to Mad Hatters before, not realizing that it was sponsored by a women's council, the Women's Council, and that it benefited a women's garden. So when I did the branding for our event, I had to make sure that that became much more of a through thought where everybody can understand that it's Mad Hatters, but it was started by Carol Ann Brown, who's still very involved, that Barbara Bigham, who's a member of our organization, has been involved for years as well. And that it benefits the Arboretum, but it really is benefiting a woman's garden that is run by a women's organization and is the only garden in the country that was conceived, created, and then supported by women.
That is fantastic. And I love that you mentioned, there's all kinds of events that happen all throughout the year. One of the biggest, if not the biggest one of the year, is coming up in Mad Hatters. So as I was saying earlier, Mad Hatters is really one of those events. It really embodies the term fun and fundraising, which is what we're all about here. So tell us a little bit about the Mad Hatters event, because it really is just an unbelievably good time.
Well, this year we have made a few changes. We are really wanting to focus on the hats again. And when Ann and I were conceiving what we wanted to do, it was very important to us for it to be elegant. And Sarah Jo, the rest of the year, has had an English theme. So we knew we wanted it to be a celebration of English elegance, but we didn't feel like that was really a theme, that was more of a tagline. So we spent a couple of weeks sort of going back and forth. And then when we were sitting at this fabulous Women's Council meeting where we were all given tiaras to put on at the same time, Ann and I looked at each other and we were like, Majestic Mad Hatters. And we said it at the exact same minute to each other. Like, I still have goosebumps right now, like reliving that moment, because the Queen had just died. And we thought, wow, what a wonderful way to have a nod to her, without, in a happy way. And
Right.
also to underscore elegance, because who is better at, having an elegant portrayal than the Queen of England? So we just love the idea of honoring her, but also bringing it back to an elegant afternoon and having the English theme from the rest of the year.
That really is amazing. And, you're being a little modest with the hats. So talk a little bit, and I'd like for both of you to chime in on this one, because you both have perspective. Sarah Jo, I know you've been involved for many, many years, and Kristina, I know you've gone as a guest. So explain what you mean by Mad Hats, because it really is, it's all very Instagrammable, for lack of a better term, these hats.
Yes, they are.
So Sarah Jo, if you'd like to start with kind of, describing the hats, and then Kristina, I'd like your point of view as the chair with that as well.
Over the years, the concept of the hats has just grown exponentially. When Carol Ann Brown first started Mad Hatters, we were doing kind of demure, elegant hats, and it got bigger and better. And with the different themes over the years, people would just build these such large hats that you just can't imagine how people could hold a whole tea party on their head, or the state fair on their head, or, the seashore on their head, or the Eiffel Tower on their head. So it's been very amusing and competitive on what kind of hat people can create. This year, I think we're reining it in and doing more of an elegance, like what you could wear to Ascot. But I do feel like it's been a historic view this year for us to look back on the past 35 years and see what people have come up with for their hat, the creativity involved. But I think that's what is the element that makes it fun, is the creative competition on who can have the most outrageous or the most beautiful hat. That's why we have different categories that I'll let Kristina talk to you about, because I think the categories always kind of dictate the hats in which direction they're going. And I do feel like I'm very pleased that we're doing something more or less intimidating this year, because I think, oh my goodness, some of these people, they start creating their hat the day that Mad Hatters or the day that it's finished. They start creating their hat for the following year immediately, start thinking of ideas and working on it. And so I think this year will be a very special challenge on how to have the most elegant hat. So I'm going to let Kristina talk about the hat categories this year. But to me, I think that makes it fun. I think the whole how wild and how just shocking or fun or amazing of a hat you can design makes people really get into the theme and get into the event. So Kristina, tell him what you think about the different categories.
So Kristina, if I may interject for 1 second. So when Sarah Jo talks about categories, everyone, there's basically many categories where there's competitions, where there is an award awarded for the best hat in a certain category. So with that said, Kristina, please go ahead and elaborate on this year's category sets.
Well, as a creative, I certainly don't want to squelch anyone's creativity, but we have established just a framework this year with some rules for the competition, because there hasn't been that in the past, and really to have a contest, you need to have a framework. So that will be printed in the invitation. But then we also tried to come up with categories this year that really speak to the theme. So the first of those was the Queen's Choice, which would be most true to theme. Then we have a true Princess Diana, as sure to be a lasting fashion legend. So maybe people could bring out their 80s hats. The Princess of Wales. We thought of that as the best overall ensemble, because she always looks so wonderful with her, head to toe, shoes, purse, gloves, hat, outfit. So that is the Princess of Wales. Then the Chelsea Flower Show, which the Women's Council is going on their trip abroad to this year, is the most creative use of fresh botanicals. And that has been a really wonderful category. It makes sense for the gardens. It really makes sense for the creation of a really beautiful and creative hat. And there have just been some real stunners over the years with fresh botanicals. And then we also have a hybrid this year, which is the best English garden hat with a Texas twist, because, you know, Texans really do like to put their name and their spin on things.
They sure do.
We also have the head turner, which is going to be the best in show. And then for our group hats, in the past, the groups have been maybe a whole table, but this year the group is going to be 4 or more. Will qualify for the group competition. And it's going to be the Royal Enclosure, which is a group that could attend Ask It together. And so we were kind of trying to think of that in the sense of Ask It does have hat rules and they have things that they expect you to do. And so that was sort of an idea to get groups together in an elegant fashion.
That's really great. I especially love that you've expanded it so that it doesn't necessarily have to be a table for a group, and that it can be, you know, if a few friends want to get together and gather and create something thematic, that they can enroll as well. What is really interesting with those categories is there's a commonality in that they're different categories, but they're interrelated. How do you think the wearing hats of all the guests really helps create a camaraderie among everyone who attends? And Kristina, you know, given that you've attended before and as a chair now, I'd really love your take on that.
I think it creates conversation throughout the reception. In years past, I have just been able to marvel at all of the different things. And like one of the things I've really enjoyed were the ones that were made from fresh botanicals. I mean, they were incredible, and some of the outfits that matched those. And last year it was a fair theme, and there was one woman who had a Ferris wheel and she was carrying around turkey legs and corny dogs. And, you know, really you felt like it was the fair and it made sense. And there was a wonderful Pegasus or two. You know, it really was wonderful in the iteration of the theme and in the creativity. And then they were very large, a lot of the hats last year. But I think it really creates conversation. It allows you to go up and meet people you might not meet because you want to speak to them about their hats, which I think is a very special part. And so we will be having a reception that's 1 hour and 15 minutes so that there can be that time for people to walk around the garden, have a drink, have some hors d'oeuvres, go through the hat judging, and then speak to each other. And we also have a People's Choice vote. So there will be a People's Choice vote, and we are figuring out how to do that electronically for the first time so that people may vote when they see something that they like, and then we can have a People's Choice winner as well.
I really love that. Sarah Jo, what would you like to add?
Well, also we're having a kind of parade of the hat winners. And so I think that's fun. And for the first time, we're having Mad Hatters at Rosine Hall and Tasteful Place, 2 of the facilities at the Dallas Arboretum. And so there's plenty of room for the hat winners to parade to both groups. And the judges will be announcing winners at one place, but they'll be parading by the other visitors. And I do think it is very special to highlight our attendees this year and all the different hats. We do have, you know, a special stroll where you have to stroll by the judges if you want to enter the competition. But I think it's really fun that we're putting an extra emphasis on all the participants, and people can really view what winners have done in the past. We're going to have a whole display of some of the past extra special winning hats. And so that's kind of great that we've reached out to past winners so people can see their hats. So that's new this year. That's kind of special.
And Ann and I, sorry to interrupt, Ann and I are going to display the first hats we wore when we went together.
Oh, that what a great idea. And I love the sustainability element, because with fashion, that's a major trend right now. And I love how, you can use something from a previous year and you can, you can use it with, if you wore it one year, you can wear it again. And people may not necessarily remember you wore it because it was, it may have been a few years back and all that. And I really love the specialness of that. Now, I do want to go back to something Sarah Jo mentioned. Talk about the strutting past the judges and what that entails and what that involves, because I know the people listening are dying to know what that means.
Well, after you check in, we have a special place that the judges will be sitting. And if you choose to enter the competition, there's a catwalk for you, to a kind of a step and repeat, but that you can go in front of the judges and turn around, let them see your beautiful hat, your ensemble. And so that's, a very unique opportunity for them to see you. And this year we will have numbers associated with your name. Kristina was very clever to come up with this so that we can call back people, and so the judges can review you again if they need to see you again. And so that's kind of nice, because in the past the judges may have to scramble and go, who was that? Who was wearing that wonderful hat? But this year we'll have like little numbers that people can show show the judges.
We're using bidder numbers actually on fans. So everyone will have a fan with their bidder number so that we can also use them if it's warm in the garden.
I can't think of anything better to tie in with the hat than a fan. I mean, that is a brilliant, what's so wonderful is that you all have really thought about the details and really creating a magical experience that guests will. One of the other guests on the show talked about how people will remember certain elements, but at the end of the day, they'll remember how they feel. And just the feeling of fun and the feeling of just beauty that you see, not just with the gardens itself, but also with the decor and with the hats, really just is something that's really heartwarming and would undoubtedly put a smile on everyone's face. And that, leads me to my next question is, as we said earlier, this is the 35th anniversary. How does Mad Hatters keep this event fresh year after year, that it's one of the most desired events that people want to go to year in and year out? And that doesn't happen without keeping the event fresh in some way. Would either of you care to elaborate on that?
I would love to speak to that. What we have really tried to do this year is have a transformational change. We wanted to grow the amount of people who could attend. And we also wanted to change the dynamic of the day so that it becomes about the hats, it becomes about the competition and that camaraderie. And then we have a short program, because in the past, as the event evolved, there was a fashion show. And, it was a wonderful fashion show. And Jan Strimple did an incredible job. And on, her retirement now, it just made sense for us to focus in a different way. But Michael Faircloth is going to be speaking about the history, the humor, and the hope of the hat. And so we're hoping that will, really help going forward for the next 35 years, that we can be focused on the hats. We can be focused on each attendee being involved in what the event is. And also by using Rosine Hall and a tasteful place. And then we've also activated the outside terrace. We are going to have simulcasting in each area and live elements in each area so that more people can be involved, and we make sure everyone is covered and can be there to enjoy the event, but also that it is more of a 3-hour event instead of a 4 to 5 hour event, so that people can pick up their kids, get to carpool, get back to work, things that they need to do. Because as the years have leading up to where we are now, the event tended to be a little bit longer. And we found, talking to people, that they needed, to come and enjoy, but know that there was a certain amount of time to enjoy. And
that's
be able to get back to.
That's fantastic. And for those, for those who are not familiar with the event, this actually is held during the week. It's on a weekday, and it's basically held during lunchtime. So it is something that, I know of people that will take the day off work to go to this event because it means that much to them, because it really is this party in the daytime, really unlike any other that, I've ever experienced or been to. And I think, Sarah Jo, what you were saying in, you streamline the program, as sad as I am to see that Jan is now emeritus with that event, because she's just wonderful. You've got Michael Faircloth to pass on the torch and carry on the legacy. I love just all those different elements that you allow things to really just, be fresh. So, tell us a little bit more about the program that Michael is going to be designing this year.
Well, go ahead, Sarah. Did you want to speak?
No, I just wanted to say, when I first approached Ann and Kristina to do the event this year, I asked them to come up with a way to make it fresh and new, exactly what you were asking. And I just want to commend them for their effort in coming up with a brilliant plan. And I'm so grateful they did that, because that was a big mountain to climb. And I said, okay, let's make this special. It's our big anniversary year. And our theme all year long has been growing. My theme has been growing friendships for 40 years. And I knew they were good friends, and I knew they had a good team of people, and I knew they would come up with a great new direction, and they did. So I just wanted to commend them both for coming up with this idea.
That's wonderful.
Thank you, Sarah.
And Sarah Jo, I have one question I kind of want to follow up on, and we alluded to this a little bit when we talked in the green room. You really have a wonderful relationship with this year's chairs. And I say that just because the camaraderie and rapport I'm just seeing just in talking to you, because you can't fake that. It's there and it's obvious.
Wonderful.
So what advice would you give to an organization in selecting chairs that accurately reflect the organization, maybe push the boundaries a little bit, but still, speak to who the organization is?
Well, I think, and we were talking about this earlier, I think since COVID, people are careful about what they choose to do with their time, and they're very selective on volunteer commitments. And I think COVID taught people more about, their relationships with their family and with their community commitments. So when selecting this year's chairman, I thought a lot about people that I knew were hard workers and actually wanted to do the work and not be fluff and puff. And
that's a hashtag, by the way.
Yes, fluff and puff.
Fluff and puff.
And I think that it matters a great deal that you have people who are focused on the beneficiary, which is our garden, which is a women's garden, and people who care about the organization itself. And I thought a long time. I've done volunteer work for many years with Ann, and I've known Kristina, and I knew that Kristina is a beautiful graphic artist, and I knew she had such wonderful skills to bring to the team. And Ann is an excellent fundraiser and communicator, and both of them are experienced with doing charity work, and from their work on cattle barons and other activities, that I knew that they would be creative, and I really wanted a creative team to come in and make fresh this very special event in this anniversary year. And that's exactly what they did. I gave them the challenge, and they took up the challenge and ran with it. And they've just done a great job. But I put a lot of thought into who would be up to this challenge, who would be creative, who would be dynamic, and who I knew I I had to count on old friendships. And I think anytime you're president of an organization, when you are creating your board, your group of volunteers, you always look back to your friends that you can count on, friends who you've done events with or had some kind of background of working with them on some kind of event, even for another organization. But you count on your friendships. And that's what I did. And when I was building my board and building committees, and I thought a long time about who I would ask. I did. And they were carefully selected. I will say that.
That's good. And you can tell the thought that you put into it. And, you or not harped, but you emphasized multiple times creativity and how important creativity is, especially with an event like this, it's a highly creative event. And to keep it interesting, the creativity has to evolve and push boundaries. And, it sounds like this year that's very much going to be the case.
And I think their enthusiasm, Kristina and Ann's enthusiasm, has been contagious. And so their creativity has inspired others to be creative because, I think that's the common bond with Mad Hatters is everyone's done a little creative kind of work at home to put that hat together or select the right hat or to get a hat maker to make just the right hat with the right colors. So it involves creativity on all places in all parts of it. So I do think that if you have people that are creative themselves, they inspire creativity in others. So that's what this team has done this year.
That's fantastic. And Kristina, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Well, I care very much about the details. And so we're being creative with the menu and what we're serving. And because it is Mad Hatter's tea, even though it is a luncheon, we are going to be gifting people tea as they leave. So because it's not really a tea. So we're trying to get all the elements together, but to where we could get it to that smaller amount of time, most enjoyment for the amount of time that you could be there, but having all the elements. And we will be having, sandwiches during the reception, like tea sandwiches as the hors d'oeuvres, but beautifully
wonderful.
Presented. There will be places to sit in the garden during the reception as well, which hasn't been something that's been part of Mad Hatters in the past. So, every one of the elements. And from a branding perspective, I've been very serious about the branding of the flowers and the Queen's hat and the diadem crown and the flowers that are part of our main logo with the cipher, which would be royal. So, all of the different elements of the creative package has also, I think, helped other people want to create something interesting with their hats this year.
Yeah, I love that. And what's interesting is, you were talking about, the details and really kind of keeping things special and, having really thoughtful gifts like, you giving, the guests tea as they depart. That way, if a bunch of people had two hats, they can get together and do a T 2.0 at someone's house for lunch one day, which is what I'll be doing when I take the tea away. So, but you touched on something I want to talk about and ask you, and that is, you clearly have a good understanding of how to put together a successful event. What is an item or a way that you would tell people looking to plan their own fundraiser that wouldn't necessarily cost a lot of money, but it provides great ROI?
Oh gosh.
Well, one thing I want to mention, I'll let Kristina talk about this, but I think it's great that our organization and Mad Hatters in particular involves multi-generational, a multi-generational group. Like my daughter's coming. Kristina's mother is coming. We have a lot of mother, daughters, granddaughters involved. And I think anytime you want to put on a successful event in today's world, and you need to get young people in there that you train, that learn more about fundraising and how to put on an event. And I think that the Women's Council has done a really good job the past couple of years of bringing in new younger women to learn how to do this. And I think Ann and Kristina have done that. They've brought in some younger women to work on the event, and an organization, to keep healthy, needs to constantly train new volunteers. And this is important. And I think Kristina and Ann have been good role models and have done this. Yet on their committee, we also have well-experienced older women who have been in the organization for 40 years. So it's a nice blend of mentors and new people. And I think that makes this a successful event, because then each of those groups gets their peers to come. And that in that way, you ensure that the event continues on for many years. And so you get the new generation excited about it. And I'm excited. My daughter's coming, and a lot of her peers are coming, and she's in her 20s. So it's nice that we have started that as kind of a trend to do. And I'm so glad Kristina's bringing her mother, and there are lots of mother daughters coming.
Oh, that's
Lots.
Fabulous.
So anyway, Kristina,
Well, I
what's
would
your
think
take
the
on that?
return on investment that I guess I have learned through my work with cattle barons. I was one of the chairs of the silent auction last year. And this event, just because they're the most recent in my experience, is having a design and a vision is really the best return on investment. And that doesn't mean you have to invest a lot of money in it. And happily, I was able to create this for our event ourselves, like the look and feel and how it was going to be. But for cattle barons, we also built out the silent auction for the first time. It wasn't on tables, and it wasn't just with plexiglass signage. We had it built. If it was a gift certificate, it was backlit. And so that really changed the dynamic of the silent auction by having a vision and doing it a little bit differently and making it feel like a boutique. So, and that was a huge return on investment for us. I think that by having this thread of the branding for Mad Hatters, it's been a huge return on investment, because we ended up having to release tickets the other day because we were already sold out. And now we have ticket availability, and we had planned for that, but we, because of the branding and the creativity and the excitement, people really do want to come.
Well, I love that, and one thing I do love about that is you had your baseline of the number of people you wanted, and then when you sold out, you opened another batch because you knew you could scale the event. And I think that's really smart, and it's a smart way of showing our ROI, because what no one wants is to, who throws a fundraiser, is to walk into a room that's partially empty. This way, you allowed yourself to kind of grow smartly and grow strategically. And I know that there's enough people always wanting to go to this event in particular that would sell out. But I love the thoughtfulness that you did in really kind of doing it in phases and steps, because it allows the energy and the momentum to maintain itself all the way up until the event happens.
Yes.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That's good.
Well, Sarah Jo and Kristina, I cannot thank you both enough for being on today. This really was fun. And I hope that we can do this every year, because it is fun and fundraising.
Yes, fun and fundraising.
I hope we can do this every year, because your event is really one of the best in Texas. And I'm just honored that I'm able to showcase it to our listeners.
Well, thank you for having us.
We're so happy you offered. Yes, thank you.
We're
we
excited
look forward
about
to
this year.
seeing you soon.
We will be there. We will be there on April 20th. And with that said, the 35th annual Majestic Mad Hatters Luncheon is on Thursday, April 23rd, 2023 at the Dallas Arboretum in Dallas, Texas. For more information, visit womenscouncildallasarboretum.org. And I am Rob Giardinelli, signing off on Fun and Fundraising, reminding you to keep it fun, keep it interesting, so your guests have a great time. Take care and have a great day, everyone.